and then we'll start here. Okay, so to begin with, and we'll just kind of work some of this stuff out together. We're going to do a lot of stuff we do at the beginning of the semester is stuff you've probably done before. You may still know how to do it well, or you may not. It just depends. So what we're going to focus mostly on today is solving equations. That's a fundamental thing in math, and all of you that are business majors, if you don't know how to solve an equation when you're taking some business classes, you'll struggle. Okay, it's a basic skill. All right, so I'm going to just kind of go over how to solve different equations, all right, and everything. So basically, when you learn how to solve an equation, you should have learned that what you do to one side, you have to do the other side, right? If you add 5 to the left side, you add 5 to the other side. A good analogy is it's like a balance scale. What you do to this side, you do to that side to keep it in balance. Okay, that's why that works the way it does. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the definitions and stuff on there. We're just going to kind of work some problems out. All right, so let me ask you all this question. X plus 8 equals 10. What's the answer? 2. Okay, so sometimes you can do it in your head. Now, the way you learn how to do this is like this. Okay, you're trying to get the x by itself. That means 8 goes away. What's the opposite operation of adding? Subtracting. So I did subtract 8 there. I subtract 8 there. Always do the same thing to both sides. 8 minus 8 is 0. Now that technically gives you x plus 0. 10 minus 8 is 2, but anything plus 0 is itself, so that's the answer. Okay, like that. That one's easy enough to do in your head. We're going to start simple and build up. Okay, how do you check your answer? Well, you take your answer and you plug it in. So all you'd write on your paper for checking is 2 plus 8 is 10. Both sides turn out to be the same. So if it's the right answer if both sides are the same. One of the key things to learning math, the best way is to know how to check everything you do. Because everything you do, you can check and verify. Can't do that in other classes. This class, you can check everything you do. Okay, for the most part. Okay, next problem. Can you do this in your head? This means 5 times what is negative 15? In your head, can you do that?
Negative 5.
Negative 3. There you go. 5 times negative 3. Okay, so what you learn to do on this is you got to get rid of the 5. What's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. So you divide both sides by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. You don't have to put 1x there because 1x is x. 1 times anything is itself. And then negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. Not negative 3. So you would end up getting an answer, x equals negative 3. Okay? All right? Well, you can do a lot of these in your head, and I'm okay with it. I want you to do some of them in your head. Checking, you just write 5 times and then plug in the negative 3 and see if both sides are the same. All right, so that's how you start. Everybody with me there? Okay. Okay? All right, sometimes if students haven't been in math in a long time, they need to start at the beginning. Okay? All right, next one. Can you tell me what the answer to this one is in your head? Negative 9, good. What do you do to both sides of the equation to get x by itself? Divide by negative 2. You got to divide by the same thing. I see students do the divide by the opposite. That's the same thing because you're always after 1x. Okay? 18 divided by negative 2 is negative 9. So that would be the answer to that problem. Okay? All right? And I won't check all these. Some of them I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to bypass the checking on that. Okay, the next one. Now see, we're beginning to build up now where you do more steps. Okay, this one you're trying to get x by itself. So that means that what are you trying to do? You want that to go away, then that. You got to do it in order. How do you make minus 6, subtract 6 go away? You add. Okay, so you start there. Okay, and so what you can do on that is just add 6 to both sides of the equation. Now you can just cancel that out because that's 0. Then you would end up having 2x equals 16. Now you can do it in your head. What's the answer? 8. Okay, to show that step, you divide both sides by 2, so you end up getting x equals 8. Okay, that's your answer. Okay, let's go ahead and check this one. Again, you would just plug this in, and you would do 2 times 8 minus 6 is 10. A lot of times you can check in your head, and that's one of the things you should do as a student. If the equation's simple, check it in your head. Make sure it's right. So that would be 16 minus 6 equals 10. Both sides turn out to be the same. We know we're right. Okay, we don't have to ask if I'm right. All right, Everybody okay so far? We'll start in kind of the simple ones here to begin with. Okay. Now, one thing is, when I give you access to this OneNote notebook, it'll come in an email, and then you'll be able through the semester to go back, and it'll just have a record of what I did. Okay. That's not going to change. That stuff will be online. So you got that in the video thing. Okay. So if you got something you need to review, you can do it on here. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 more, and then I'll let you do a few problems in class. I do a lot of problems. I usually try to have you do as many as time allows. Okay, does anybody know what the answer to this one is? What? 9. That's 9, not -9. Well, you start this one off this way. The opposite of adding is subtracting, so you have negative x equals -9. Well, what this really means, if you want to, is -1 times x is -9. If you have a negative x, that means it's -1 times x. Then what you do is you can divide both sides by -1. What happens if you divide 2 negatives? You get a positive. So the answer is +9 like that. Does that make sense? That's a common issue with students a lot of times. If there's a negative x, I see a lot of issues with that. Okay, when you check, it's just negative. Again, you just plug in. So it would be -9 plus 9 is 0. Is that right? Yep. Okay, so that's it. That makes sense? Okay. Okay, let's do one last one here. I probably won't check this one, and I'll let you do a few problems on this. What's the first thing you want to do on this one? Subtract 18. You want the x to be by itself. So subtract 18. Subtract 18, you got to do things one at a time. So that's -12x. Now, there's issues. A lot of times students in here don't know their arithmetic. When you see this problem right here, I think of money. I'm in the hole $30. Now I'm in the hole 18 more, so I'm in the hole 48. That's 2 negatives being combined. You're not multiplying. It's just you're 30 below 0, 18 more below 0, so you're more in the hole. Okay? If you struggle at all with arithmetic, think of money. I mean, money will help you kind of make sense of all that. So this is -48. Then what do I do? Divide by -12. Good. Got that. And then we have 2 negative divided by negatives, a positive. So you would have +4. You guys will be able to use calculators and stuff. Try to do simple stuff like this without your calculator, though. Okay? All right, now I won't check that one, so that's kind of the idea. Now what I want you all to do is work out the next 4 problems. I'll walk around so I can kind of begin to get an idea. So we get, most of you just knew what the answer to this one is, right? Okay, if you know how to do something in your head, you don't have to write anything, but you would divide both sides by 5, so you have x equals 5. The checking is just 5 times 5 is 25, okay? All right, so got that. What answer on number 2? 38, so you should have added 18 to both sides. So you have 20 plus 18 is 38. So that's your answer to your problem. Okay, now see, learn how to do this. I wish students would do this. Just check stuff in your head. Okay, when you're doing homework and stuff, okay, just check in your head. Okay, when you can. So the checking is 38 minus 18 equals 20. So you get 20 equals 20. So you know you're right. That's how you catch mistakes. What did we get on the next one? 13? 13, yeah. Okay, so this one, add 10. Okay, gets rid of the 10. And you have 2x is 26. Then divide by 2. Okay, so that would give x equals 13. Okay, check. You just do 2 times 13 minus 10 equals 16. 2 times 13 is 26. 26 minus 10 is 16. Okay, goes in that. And see, you don't need a calculator for any of this stuff. So try to do this calculator free. Next one, that's harder for me to do in your head. What'd you get on this? 14? Yeah, okay. This one, the best way to start is to get rid of the 10 by subtracting to get rid of that. So then the negative 2x comes down. Your equal sign keeps coming down. This is 2 debts, so that's like negative 28. And then what do? Divide by negative 2. Okay, so you end up getting x equals positive 14 like that. Okay, checking is just 10 minus 2 times 14 equals negative 18. So that would be 10 minus 28 equals negative 18. And you can use calculator a little bit as you need to, so that verifies it like that. Okay, how'd we do? How many people got all 4 right? Okay, good. I feel encouraged. That's good. I never know on the first day. So we're going to go ahead and take, let's come back to class at 1 o'clock. That's about 7 minutes. And then we'll continue with what we're working on. There it goes. Okay, does everybody follow what I did there? Okay. Okay. Now, let's see. We're going to check this. Well, you can do this on a calculator. For this class, you could do it this way. So let's just go like this. We'll write down 5 times 17/3 plus 3 equals 2 times 17/3 plus 20. Now, I'm not going to go through all the fraction stuff. I'm just going to do this on a calculator, okay? But I'm going to use this to review a couple of things. Whenever you multiply fractions, like you can go 5 over 1 times 17 over 3, what you do is you multiply straight across. So if you take 5 times 17, I'm pretty sure that's 85. 1 times 3 is 3. That's how you multiply fractions. You go straight across. Then we have plus 3, like that. Okay. Then I go to the right side. I do the same thing. That's really 2 over 1 times 17 over 3 plus 20. Okay. Again, straight across. 2 times 17 is 34. Whoops. And I'm just going to do the rest of this on a calculator, which is okay for this class. So I've got that. Everybody okay what I've done so far? Okay. Now, let's just do it this way. I'm not going to worry too much about the fractions and stuff. So you could just go like this. You could go 85 divided by 3 plus 3. And that would give you about 31.3. It's got repeating 3. So I put that bar over it like that. If I go to the right side and do 34 divided by 3 plus 20, hopefully it's the same thing. Okay, and it is. Okay, so see, you can use your calculator to kind of assist you even if you get decimals and stuff. Okay, so you can tell you're right by doing that anytime you get a fraction answer. Okay, does everybody feel okay about what I did there? Okay, all right. Next thing I want to look at a little bit is distributive property. And when you have a number in front of parentheses, you do the distributive property, which you need to know from your background. So you'll start this way. You'll do 3 times 2x is 6x. The parentheses are going away. And then 3 times 5 is going to be 15. Okay, and you do the same thing here. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 7 is 14, like that. So you want to be sure that you're 100% solid on how to do distributive property. It'll show up all the time. Now what you do here is, what I like to do is, if you have variables on both sides, decide which one you want to get rid of. You can either subtract 6 to get rid of that, or subtract 2x to get rid of that. It's your call. It doesn't make any difference. You'll get the same answer anyway. Okay? So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to subtract 2x. You can kind of line that up under your like term like that. This would become 4x. And then the minus 15 like that. The right side is going to be just 14. So that's how you'd want to start that. Okay? All right, what's the next step?
Add 15 both sides.
Right, you want x by itself. So what you want to do now is add 15 to both sides. Probably going to get a fraction answer on this, which is fine. Don't panic if that happens. So it's 4x equals 29. What's the answer?
X equals 29.
29 over 4, exactly. That's all I want, okay? If it doesn't divide out evenly, I don't care about decimals, I just want that. So you would just have your answer, 29 over 4. That's good enough, okay? Checking, this is sort of a good thing to do on a calculator. I'm not going to do that and everything. And outside of class, you don't have to check those, but I just wanted to kind of pick and choose places where I do that. Okay, so the equations are getting a little bit more complicated. Does anybody have a question about anything so far? Still not too bad, though, depending on your background. Mostly it's arithmetic. It depends how well do you know your arithmetic. If you know it well, you can do these. Okay? All right. So I'm going to move on to the next thing here, and I'm going to show you, we're going to redo the problems, kind of similar ones I did. You can also learn to do this way. This is the way I do it. But when you get in further and higher advanced classes, you want to start just rearranging kind of in your head. So here's something you can do on this. All right. So the thing is, I want to get all the x's on the left and the numbers there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to move that over there. Okay? So I'm going to get all my x's on the left like that. And then this thing right here, that's a number, so I'm just going to move it like this. This is probably once you learn how to do it this way, this is usually the way you'll start writing your steps. So I just bring down the 15x. When I move the 12, what happens to its sign? It changes to opposite. Since you're subtracting 12x, just put minus there. So if you move it to the other side, the sign changes. Okay, I keep the 10 here, and then when I move the 8, it's no longer minus 8. What is it? Okay, that's what you do. And in practice, when you do these more advanced equations, just do it that way. Move that over there so it joins that. Move that over there so it joins that. And sign changes because really you're adding 8 to both sides to move it over there. Okay? Your step writing's a little cleaner if you learn to do it this way. Then that would be 3x. That would be 18. And then you divide both sides by 3. So that's x equals 6. If you're not used to doing your equations that way, it's good to learn how to do it that way. You'll see me mostly, as we go through a semester, doing the equations more like that, just moving things out of the way. Okay? All right, this one we're going to do distributive property. Be real careful with signs. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times positive 8 is negative 24, so just put subtract 24. Okay, be sure you pay attention to those signs when you do distributive property. Okay, then over here, 2 times x is 2x. And then 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Okay, can't make any errors when you're doing that. Now, it's your call. Okay, you can either move all the x's here, or you can move all the x's here. I don't care, okay? I'm going to do it different, just kind of for a little bit of variety here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that over there so it joins with that x that's already there. And then I'm going to move the 8 over here. You could do it the opposite way and you'd still get the same answer. And again, just do this in your head. So what I'm going to end up having is I've got the 2x here. I move the negative 3, so what does it become? Okay, just be sure to change the sign. Okay, I'm going to leave the negative 24 where it is, and when I move the 8, what does it become? It becomes plus 8. Okay, you guys see what I'm doing? Okay, do it this way. You don't have to, but it's a good way to learn. So this side, you would have a negative number. That would be negative 16. That would be 5x. And then you divide both sides by 5, and you do have a fraction answer, which is fine. So you get negative 16 over 5 is equal to x. Okay, like that. All right? You save a little bit of time if you learn to do it that way. Yes?
You can do it either way.
Say it again.
You can do it either way.
Yeah, either way is okay. Whichever way you want to do it's fine. You will just see me doing this a lot as the semester goes on. I'll kind of start rearranging like that. But you can show the step if that's a little bit more beneficial to you. Okay. Okay, so I'll let you guys do these next 2 problems, and I'm not going to require you to check in class. If you got a little time, go ahead and try that. The better you can do on that, the better for you. So let me have you do those. I'll walk around and kind of see where you're at with this. One more, we'll kind of get to the most advanced level we'll get in this class. Okay, so this one I'm just going to kind of go like this. I'm going to move the 5x. So I keep the 7x. Now I have minus 5x. I'm going to keep the negative 24. Then I'm going to move the 6 so it becomes plus 6. Now you can do it backwards if you want to. You'll always get the same answer. So anyway, you should end up with 2x equals negative 18. And then you divide both sides by 2. So you get x equals negative 9. Okay, so it looks like we got that okay. Good. Okay, next one, distributive property. So you would start by having 3x minus 18. On this side, we'd have 5x plus 50. And then you can start rearranging if you want to. It's your call. I don't care which way you do it. If I do it different than you, all that matters is you get the right answer. I'm going to move the 5x this way. So it's 3x minus 5x. I'm going to keep the 50. And I'm going to move the 18. Okay, if you did it the opposite way, that's fine. But what you would end up if you did it this way is negative 2x equals 68. Okay, then divide both sides by negative 2. Use your calculator if you needed to. That should be negative 34. Okay? Now what matters is that you're doing a valid process, but when the problems get more advanced, there's several ways you could show your work on your paper, right? Because it's up to you which side the X is on. All right, everybody okay?
Can we check the work on one
On which one?
on number one?
Sure. So what you do, always go back to the beginning. So it would be 7 times negative 9 minus 6 equals 5 times negative 9 minus 24. So you plug in. This would be negative 63 minus 6. This would be negative 45 minus 24. This would be negative 69, and so would that. Okay? You get into big numbers, you can use a calculator to help you a little bit. Okay? You check, always go back to the beginning. Don't go anywhere else. Okay? All right, any questions? Okay. All right, now let's see. Want to work with this one. I'm going to do one like this and let you kind of do one that's kind of similar to this. So this example 3 down at the bottom of the page. You want to start this one by doing a distributive property. So anywhere in your problem where there's a distributive property, you want to get that out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to distribute that. So that's going to be 2x minus 8. Bring down the plus 8. That 8 was not in parentheses. That's why I didn't take the 2 times 8. Then the equal sign. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 5 is minus 20. Then the minus 10 comes down. Okay? A lot of times on problems like this, I'll see students want to take the 2 times 8, but that's outside of parentheses, so you don't want to make that mistake. Now, when you do a problem like this, you could start rearranging stuff, but the best thing is if you have terms that are alike, put them together. I just put those together. I would put those together. Keep it simple. Before you start rearranging, simplify and collect all your like terms. So essentially what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put that together, and I'm going to put that together. So I'm going to end up having 2x. That goes to 0. That cancels out to 0. This would be 4x, and then that would be minus 30 like that. Okay? All right, you with me there? Okay, you okay? Okay.
You were right, but I thought it was 16.
Okay, that's why I know the mistakes students make, so you just need to know the 8's not in the parenthesis, and then you're good, okay? All right, now I would just do this way. I just move the 4x. Leave the 2x where it is. That becomes minus 4x. Whoops, I lost my equal sign. One thing you never want to do is lose that equal sign. It keeps coming down, so you'd have that. Okay, now 2x minus 4x is negative 2x. We do that, and then what's the last step? Divide by negative 2. Okay, all right, so we got that. So therefore we have x equals positive 15. Okay, like that. Okay, you keep it up?
Is there like a different way to also do it? Because I did it a different way and I got 15.
Did you get the same answer?
Yeah.
You're fine then. Unless you were lucky. Sometimes you get the right answer, but you're lucky. So really with this one, you have to start with the distributive property. Then you could put all the x's on this side.
What I did is I just like crossover A, distributed, crossover way. That's how I did it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, you should be fine. Okay. Okay, go ahead and try this one. Okay, so this one is probably, that's what we're building up to. If you can do that level of a problem, you're in good shape. So go ahead and do that, and let's see how many people get that one right. All right. Okay, so if you didn't get 5, let's kind of see where you went wrong. A lot of students will go wrong here. There's the 2 distributive properties. Okay, so I'll have negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And then negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9x. A lot of you made that mistake. It's negative times negative. That's why that's positive 9. Everybody with me there? See, that's a subtraction symbol, subtract 3x, but you treat it like a negative. Okay, then you would bring down the plus 1. Then that would be 14 plus, this is 2x, plus 16. Okay, so that's step 1 is you have to do that. There's nothing else you can do. Now, the best thing to do is look at each side of the equation and put everything together that's alike. Put numbers together, stuff that we call this like terms. So this would be 9x. Negative 6 plus 5 is minus 5. And then on this side, you would have 2x, and then 14 plus 16 is plus 30. Now, when you get down to this stage, you could have things backwards. You could have negative 5 plus 9x, or you could have 30 plus 2x. That's up to you. Now, what will happen on these more advanced problems, the same thing's always going to happen. You're going to probably have variables on both sides, no more like terms together, then you just start rearranging. So I'm going to do this like this. I'm going to move that over there, and then I'm going to move the number over there. And just do that in my head. So I'll end up having 9x. I move the 2x, so it's minus 2x. On the right side, I have the 30. I'll leave that alone. I move the minus 5. It becomes plus 5. Okay, so you would end up with 7x equals 35. Then you can divide both sides by 7. So you get x equals 5. That's it. So it looks like most of you got that right. The biggest issue I saw with some of you is just arithmetic. When you get right down to it, I can tell everybody in this class understands the process. I can tell that totally clearly. The only issue is arithmetic issues. So make sure you have your arithmetic down, okay? That's the whole key to algebra is if you can do your arithmetic, there's no reason why you can't do your algebra, okay? Any questions? Okay, everybody got that? Okay. All right, now we're going to do the next level on this next page is going to be where we have fractions. Okay, these are probably the hardest equations to do, so we're going to learn how to solve these. Okay, now they got fractions in it, so you want to learn how to do it the way I teach you. Okay, you don't want to do it any other way. You want to keep this stuff as simple as possible. So the idea is if the 3 and 2 was not there, you wouldn't have any trouble solving this problem. So you just need to make that 3 and 2 go away. Well, one way to do this is when you have a 2 and a 3, if you write out what we call the multiples of 2, and you do this in your head, and if you write out what we call the multiples of 3, well, then they both overlap at 6. So if you take any two numbers and just write out their multiples, eventually they overlap somewhere. That's called the common denominator. That's what the common denominator is. So what we're going to do is that we call that least common denominator is equal to 6. So what I want you to do on your first step, and you want to write this very carefully on your paper. That's the key to doing this. Just write the problem down. If I get going too fast, just let me know. So write that down and put a parenthesis there, and we're going to multiply that side by 6. Okay, like that. Okay, and then on the right side, we got the 10, and yeah, you also have to multiply it by 6. Now that's the whole key, is once you get rid of those fractions, then you got something that you will do fine. Okay, why 6? Does 3 go into 6 evenly?
Yes.
Yes. Does 2 go into 6 evenly?
Yes.
What if I did a 12 there instead of 6? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. As long as that goes in, those two denominators go into that, you're okay.
Just have to reduce later.
Yeah, you have to reduce later, exactly. Okay. All right, now we're going to write this like this now. Now you're going to do a distributive property, and you want to be real careful how you write steps. So what I'm going to do is we're going to write this as 6 over 1 times x plus 2 over 3. I'm kind of using the colors on this. Okay, then I'm going to have plus 6 over 1 times x minus 1 over 2, and then the right side is 60, okay, like that. So to me, it's real important that you have this step on your paper, and if you do that, you're probably going to have no problem whatsoever. So I'm just doing 6 times this, and then I'm doing 6 times that. Okay, is everybody with me there, what I'm doing? Okay. Now, what happens to the 6 and 3? What does that turn into? 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2. How about 6 over 2? 3. Okay, and your fractions are now gone. So what you do is you do this then. Okay, you can just kind of mark that off. That's now, well, that's a 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So that becomes 2. So my next step, I just write 2 times x plus 2. All right. Over here, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I end up with plus 3 and then parentheses x minus 1. You have to have parentheses on that because you got to do a distributive property like that. Okay? Now, let me show you how you can kind of manage this in your head. You got to be careful about doing stuff in your head. But all I really did is the x plus 2 from the original problem is there. All I did is 6 divided by 3 is 2. Here, the x minus 1 is there. All I did was 6 divided by 2 is 3. okay? I just made sure I do it to both sides. Common mistake, a lot of times students don't want to do anything to that because there's not a fraction. That's not what matters. If you multiply that by 6, you have no choice but to multiply that by 6, okay? Now, you should be able to finish, okay, with no problem whatsoever. So let's go ahead and finish this up then. Okay, now it's time to do the distributive property. So you would have 2x plus 4 plus, and then it would be 3x minus 3 equals 60, like that. What's the next thing I should do?
Combine like terms.
There you go. I see. What in the world? You always want to combine like terms. I think this thing may have shut off or something. There we go. Okay, so yeah, combine like terms. So did it go off again? I think this thing wants me to let class out early or something. Okay. Okay. Some of this equipment in here is getting a little bit old. Okay, yeah, so like terms, you put together those things, then you put together these things right here. Okay, just do it in your head. So you're going to have 5x, 2 plus 3 is 5x, 4 minus 3 is plus 1, equals 60. And see what happens is now you're down to a simple equation that we started with, okay? All right, now it's just a matter of subtracting 1. You can write the step this way if you want or move it. So you would have 5x equals 59. So what's the answer? 59 over 5, right? You would divide both sides by 5 now. So your answer would be x equals 59 over 5. Okay, so that would be the answer to that problem is 59 over 5, but no decimals, that's good enough. Reduced fractions is what you want. All right, you guys follow what I did? Okay, if you can do this, you can do anything in this class. I'm not kidding. If you can do that, these problems effectively, you can do anything I teach you. There's no reason why you couldn't. I'm not kidding about that. Because that has arithmetic, all kinds of basic algebra in it. There will be things we learn that are harder than that, certainly. But I'm saying if you can do this effectively, there's no reason why you can't learn anything else I'm going to teach you. Okay, we're going to do this one the same way. Just write the problem down. So we have 2x minus 1 over 5 minus x over 3 equals 1/2. Okay, and again, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by whatever it takes to get rid of all of those denominators. All right, now when you're doing a common denominator, the hope is you can do this in your head. All you got to do is find a number that 5, 3, and 2 all go into at the same time. What would that be? 30, right, okay. One way to do this is, because a lot of times you've got good math skill, it just sort of comes to you. You're not even thinking about it. You can just count by the biggest one. If you go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, it's going to be all the way to 30 before those two other ones go into it, okay? So that's going to be your common denominator. So what we're going to do here is going to multiply this side by 30, and we're going to multiply that side by 30. You don't have to put the 30 over 1. I like to do that so you just kind of see how that distributes through there. Now it's a distributive property. So you distribute that 30 like this, and then the best way to write this is like this. 30 over 1 times 2x minus 1 over 5. The minus sign comes down. That's not going to change. Now you've got 30 over 1 times x over 3. And on the right side, I'll just bring that down, and then we'll finish that up in the next step like that. Okay, so again, that's really kind of all I'm doing is just taking each piece of the original problem and multiplying it by 30. Okay, right? Now, what happens to the 30 and 5? What does that become? 6 times that. That whole thing would be a parenthesis. How about 30 over 3? 10. How about 30 over 2? 15. Okay, see, when you multiply fractions, you're really reducing those. Okay, like that. So you can do that in your head, and then this would go like this. Okay, 30 over 5 is 6. So you'd end up with 6 parentheses 2x minus 1 minus, that comes down, 30 divided by 3 is 10. So that's now just minus 10 times x. The x is still there. And on this side, 30 divided by 2 is 15. Okay, so you got that. That's the whole key to doing these problems is to get rid of your fraction Once you do that, you're in business. I'll pause there for a minute and see if you're with me. Some of you got weird looks on your face. Okay, you okay back there?
Yeah, so you put it the least common denominator so they could eventually just cancel out.
Absolutely. So if your equation has fractions, annihilate those fractions. Get rid of them. That makes it easy. Don't do it any other way. Everybody okay? You have a weird look on your face. Okay. Is there any part of that you need me to help you with a little bit?
Can you just really briefly go through it?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. So do you understand the common denominator for 5, 3, and 2 is 30? Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm multiplying both sides of the equation by 30. Now the key step is this right here. You do 30 over 1 times that whole thing. Then you do 30 over 1 times the x over 3. Okay? Then I'm doing 30 over 1 times 1/2. If you look at this step right here and you see all this mess, you're seeing the original problem. 2x minus 1 over 5 minus x over 3 equals 1/2. But what I'm doing is I'm introducing the 30 that'll get rid of the fractions. Then what I did is 30 divided by 5 is 6. The fraction's gone. And then I did 30 divided by 3 is 10. So I still got the x, so it's 10x. Then over here, 30 divided by 2 is 15. Sometimes if you're having trouble keeping up and writing with me, it'll kind of, I see all those cancellations. It's a little hard to see what I did. Okay, does that help some? You'll get it, okay? All right, now the next thing we're going to do is distributive property here. So that's going to be 12x minus 6 minus 10x. The 10x comes down, equals 15. All right, what next? I asked this question. This is where students mess up. Combine like terms. Don't always be, when you do a distributive property, your next thought process is if there's like terms, put them together. Okay, so on this, 12 minus 10x are like terms. So now you've got 2x minus 6 equals 15, and then you can finish it up. So this time I'm just going to move the 6. So I have 2x equals 15 plus 6. That would be 2x equals 21. And then divide both sides by 2. So the answer is 21 over 2. Like that. Okay, that's it. Okay, well, let's try, I think, a couple of these. And again, I think if you can do these problems and get it down good where it's not too hard for you, you'll be in great shape. Okay, I'll scroll that up just a little bit and go ahead and do those then. Okay, and I'll walk around and see how many people can get these. And then we're going to, after this, finish up class by doing what we call inequalities. The nice thing about inequalities is if you've got your equations down, they're not that much different anyway. All right. So what I kind of look at sometimes in this class is, you know, the students clearly know what a common denominator is. That's the first step on both those problems, is figure out what your common denominator is so that you can multiply both sides by that to get rid of your fractions. I don't have a clue what the answers are. I can't do those in my head. I probably could if I really forced myself to. Have you already done those too? Yeah, how much you work on those?
My bad.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, yeah. Yeah, everything divides into 12. Okay, there's a lot of things you could use. You could use 36. Okay, but the smaller, you always want to use the smallest because it makes it easier. Okay, you could probably even use 108 on that. You can go 12 times 6 times 3 on your calculator, and that'll work. But 12 is the best one. You okay with what I did? I may have been getting going a little quick on that.
I'll leave that up there.
Yeah. You got them worked out yet? I'm just kind of see what you got. You got it. I can tell you got a good background. Same thing on both arms? Okay. common denominator in that first one is, but 2 and 4 both go into 4. So you want to multiply both sides by 4. On that first problem, you can multiply both sides by 8 also. But 4 works out okay. Okay, so watch carefully. Now, you may not do the problem the same way I did. How many people on the first one multiplied by 8? How many multiplied by 4? I'll go with 4. It doesn't matter. It'll work either way, okay? So what I'm going to do, see, the key on this is you really want to just write down your problem again. And I can tell some of you are struggling with what I'm doing with that first step. So what I'm doing is I'm going to multiply everything on the left side by 4, like a distributive property, and same thing there, okay? This is where a lot of you are messing up, okay? I'm distributing these two things here. So I just write this as 4 over 1 times x plus 1 over 4 like that, okay? Then I do the next one. I go minus 4 over 1 times 1/2, and then 12 times 4 is 48. Let me just pause there for a minute and show you what I did, okay? If you look at that, you can see the original problem here, right? X plus 1 over 4 minus 1/2 equals, well, that was 12, right? So what did I do? Each piece is getting multiplied by 4. Now, what do you do with the 4? Cancel, okay? Don't distribute. That's what I saw some of you do. You don't go 4x plus 4. That's the whole purpose of what we did, is get rid of that fraction. And then how about here? 4 over 2 is 2, okay? So you want to do it like that, okay? So if you didn't get that answer, somewhere in here, the next step is probably where you're going wrong. So what we do here is just cancel out the 4, and then that just leaves x plus 1, right? There's nothing else left there. And then on this, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so we're left with minus 2. Okay, like that? Equals 48. So if you got down to that point, then you should be in good shape, okay? So what you'd have is, these are like terms. They go together. So I would have x minus 1 equals 48. So the people who got 49 did it right. Okay, did anybody check? Of course not. Nobody's going to check on a problem like this, but you could, okay? You could, okay? All right, good job if you got 49. So the next one, how many people multiplied by 12? Anybody multiplied by anything other than 12? 36 or anything? Okay, 12 is the best, okay? So this time, let's again just kind of do it like this. Now what you're doing is, see, you have 3 distinct parts of this problem. So if you want to write your first step like this, you can. You just have 12 over 1 times 3x plus 5 over 12 plus, and that would be 12 over 1 times, the next thing I'm left with is x minus 2 over 6. Then I have equal sign. Then I have 12 over 1 times x minus 1 over 3. Okay, I think what I was seeing a lot of you doing was you were doing the distributive property. Okay, you don't want to do that. You want to divide out those numbers. That's the whole purpose of what we did. And once you do that, you'll be okay, as long as you don't make any arithmetic mistakes. You guys understand that first step? If you're not getting them, that's where you're messing up. Right there, okay? You're getting rid of fractions, so that's the idea. Okay, now I'm going to kind of do this like this. Sometimes visually this helps students. This is a piece of the problem that we're going to work out. That's a piece, and that's a piece of the problem. So we're just going to work out those little pieces of the problem and put it all back together. So it basically goes like this. 12 over 12 cancels out. That leaves you with 3x plus 5. Okay, if you go here, 12 over 6 is 2. So that leaves you with plus 2 times x minus 2. Okay, go to the right side. 12 over 3 is 4. So you've got 4 times x minus 1. All right, are you good? The only way you're going to get it's to practice, like anything else. So once you get to that point, based on what I've seen in class today, you probably should do fine on this. So now it's 3x plus 5 plus 2x minus 4 equals, and then this right side would be 4x minus 4 like that. So what'd you guys say you got? So what was, you got what, negative 5? Okay. Okay, let's find out, okay. All right, next thing is like terms. So those go together. and the 5 and 4 go together, get your like terms. So 3x plus 2x is 5x. 5 minus 4 is positive 1. When you put like terms together, you want to make sure you don't make any arithmetic mistakes to do that. Now see how these complicated problems always end up with variables on both sides, everything collected? They do, okay? So that's what you're always going to come up with. Now I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to move the 4x here, so I get 5x minus 4x. Then I'm going to move the 1 here, so I've got negative 4 minus 1. Okay, like that. If you want to rearrange and do it that way, you can. So here's what would happen. 5x minus 4x is x. Negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. So if you got negative 5, you got it. How many people did get negative 5? Okay. All right, not bad. So you guys did a pretty good job. We'll just go ahead and stop here for the first class. So I feel pretty encouraged. How about you? Not bad for first day. I'm sure you guys hadn't been doing math for fun over the holiday break or anything, but I didn't either.
Finish this up by Monday?
No. You just bring this to class.